What is going on with all of my people of the planet? I am D Venom along with Feathered Friends. Thank you guys for joining us in regard to Raising Vibrations Podcast, also known as Addiction, Relapse, and Recovery. I hope all of my people of the planet, especially my people of addiction, relapse, and recovery, are staying on that straight and narrow and doing everything possible to elude psychic vampires, negative energies, including podbean trolls, scallywags, and relapse from one's lives. We all should know by now that those particular elements only take away from our energies and our vibrations. If we could elude them at all costs, we have done our own selves some justice and a huge favor. With that being said, let's get into Raising Vibrations Podcast, starting right now. Alright, you guys, as mentioned, I am D Venom along with Feathered Friends. Thank you guys so much for joining us in regard to Raising Vibrations Podcast. Alright, I'm going to reach out to my addicts out there that are still suffering in silence before I address my audience. And you don't have to be an addict in order to obtain this information. Maybe you know someone that is suffering in silence due to addiction and they could utilize this information moving forward. Anyway, I obtained what I have in my fingertips at this year's Cocaine Anonymous convention held in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it says, Cocaine Anonymous, do you have a problem with drugs and alcohol? So did we. Hope, faith, courage. Cocaine Anonymous. There's a website and a helpline for those of you that could utilize it. The website is C as in cat, A as in apple, the minus sign, online.org. Again, CA for Cocaine Anonymous, the minus sign, online.org. And the helpline information is the @ Cocaine Anonymous, but don't put Cocaine Anonymous, just put CA, the minus sign, online.org. Again, the @ C as in cat, A as in apple, minus sign, online.org. Hopefully this will lead you into sobriety and getting you the help that you need, or, someone that you may know, give this information to them so that they can hopefully benefit from it and go from there. All right. Take several seats, as Wendy Williams would say, and allow me to explain myself. Even though I don't have to, I'm going to. I do understand that there has been a bit of a hiatus, and, I pretty much haven't been active on this particular platform like I normally would be. And like most people in the world, I too, behind the scenes, have a livelihood to put energy into and, take care of. And I too must work in order to generate money to pay bills, put food on the table, put clothing on my back, feed these birds, put gas in my car in order to make it back and forth to work to generate money, etc., etc. And, with the help of the spirit realm and, a few people in my life, I am the only one that's pretty much keeping me afloat. So I have no choice but to make it happen for myself. And I've been taking care of other things too. I've also been thinking that I'm going to take the relapse aspect of it all in regard to addiction, relapse, and recovery. I'm going to probably remove that in the future. I'm going to leave it the same right now, but in the future, I do think that I'm going to remove it. Thanks to, some people in my life currently, and thanks to, my, therapist / counselor prior to, the one that I have now, he did say some vital words to me when I was, going through addiction relapse. And they told me that relapse do not have to be a part of my recovery. And those words stuck with me, even though we're not working with each other currently. Relapse does not have to be a part of any of our story. It can, the story can be addiction recovery. And, I'm definitely going to remove it in the future. But anyway, my people, of Raising Vibrations podcast, I have not abandoned the platform. I pay $14 a month for this, platform. And, no, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm going to improve the platform. I will tell you that. But, no, I'm not going anywhere, you guys. I did check my platform on an intermittent basis just to see what type of activity has been going on. And I will address that here momentarily. I did go live a couple of times, here on the platform and slightly foreshadowed, what has been going on behind the scenes since my hiatus. But I feel the need to create an episode and pretty much give you guys the full detail in regard to what has been going on, as much as I can remember, just put it that way. Anyway, as I said, I've been checking my platform here on Podbean intermittently just to see what type of activity has been going on. And, statistic wise, I do see that my numbers have fluctuated for the worse. And before they were in the green and my numbers were pretty high. And high up there. And, that indicates, that a person's, platform and whatever else, downloads and listening and retention is doing well. When I checked it the last time, those numbers were in the red and, they were doing, poorly. And I also noticed that, some of my followers decided to sever ways. And the only one person that was a part of my fan club also decided to sever ways. And, I really don't care. I still sleep good at night. I have no issues, in my life. I'm doing well, regardless if I gain followers or lose them. But, regarding the individual that was a part of my fan club, and I'm just going to address this and leave it alone. I reached out to that person on several of occasions via, different platforms, and they responded back only to, pretty much in their responses to my messages. And, I didn't feel any particular way. I went on with life and let that be the reason. I had other energies here on, the Podbean platform that reached out to me in regard to reaching out to this particular energy, and I never did. Not that I wanted to, but I just have things going on in my life that keep me occupied. And if you know me on a personal level, you will know that I have ample amount of people in my life that I don't want to say rely on my energy, but I give energy to them and their cause. And it's very draining. And, I'm not saying that this person is draining, but they have shown me certain things that just don't sit well with me. And energy wise, I just been feeling an off balance in regard to, them and what energy that they release into the universe that I can pick up on. And, if I agree with the energies of this person, then that means I'm agreeing with certain behaviors that they display to me. And if I'm about addiction, relapse, and recovery and whatever else, I have to be about my cause. Even though currently I still, smoke marijuana or whatever, I just see some things that that just did not sit well with me. And I kind of backed off, not just from this person, but from a lot of different people in regard to my personal life, because I know at this particular phase in my life what energies I want in my life moving forward. And if you have drama, and what I'm not saying that, I don't want to deal with people that have drama. We all have drama in our lives. But if you have the type of drama that, how can I say it? I don't want to say too much, but if you just have that type of energy and drama that don't I don't want to say suit me, that I just don't want to be bothered with, then I'm more than likely going to pull away, because I don't want to be wrapped up in, stuff that, just don't serve my higher purpose. And, I don't know what reason this person decided to, leave several ways from the fan club or whatever. Like I said, I don't really care. It's not the validation of followers and listeners and downloads and whatever that define me and my platforms. I define me like my addiction will never define who I am. I will allow it to refine me, just like my social media platforms, followers, listeners, downloaders, or whatever. You guys will never define who D-Venom and my platforms are. You can refine my, my message and my platforms or whatever else the case may be, but, you'll never define my platform and my message and who I am and what I stand for. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to put a lot of energy into whatever followers decided to drop off the bandwagon and, the person that decided to several ways in regard to my fan club. I also noticed that, when you grow, that causes an issue with people. Not saying that this caused an issue with the people that, decided to sever ways from my platform. But, some people got used to me coming on here talking about sucking dick, and I'm going to, refrain from cursing a lot as well. I'm living in spiritual discernment. And you guys really don't know this because we haven't been, in communication with each other. But I'm starting to live I began living life with spiritual discernment. This is another reason why I backed away from certain, this is another reason why I backed away from certain energies. But anyway, a lot of people got used to me just coming on the platform talking about sucking dick, coochie, picking up scallywags and whatever else the case may be. And yes, that will be a part of my story, because, I was once upon a time that, but I'm now recovery. I'm now working. I'm now moving. I'm now I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm other things aside from scallywags, twisting the methamphetamine pipe, porn, sucking dick, jacking them off, nut. I'm more than just that. And the more that I become Team God, Source, or whatever you guys refer to him as, the more that the darkness are going to flee from me. Not saying that these energies that decided to sever ways from the platform are dark, but people can't stand light, and light brings the truth out of people that are dark. And that's probably another reason why a lot of people fell off the bandwagon. I can't help the way that I am choosing to live life. I just know that I want a meaningful and purposeful life. And if others don't want that, that's not my problem. And I'm not going to allow distraction like I allowed it, in my past. I'm ADHD. I'm very easily distracted, which gets me, which takes me away from my goal. The light is at the end of the tunnel for D-Venom. I'm almost touching it. I'm getting offers, here and there. I'm getting good business partnerships behind the scenes. A lot is happening for me, and I'm not allowing I have allowed some grass to grow underneath my feet because, I'm so busy with so many different things. But, things are happening for me, and I'm taking charge, and no different than this platform. The fact that I'm not allowing people to call in and whatever the case may be, because I have a niche, and my niche is addiction recovery, and I need to stick with that. Even though I build relationships with people here on Podbean, I still cannot be distracted. There are people here on the platform that, they have t-shirts, they have, mugs, they're doing business, and they're not allowing people to distract them. People such as, Lincoln, Tesla, some of the greats did not allow, even Jesus, they did not allow distraction because they know what distraction can cause. And it takes them away from the goal at hand, reaching out to people or creating that car or creating that particular invention that saves humanity. Whatever the case may be, these people did sex. They didn't allow sex to distract them. And this is where I'm at in life. I'm not allowing people, places, and or things to distract me from my goals at hand. Anyway, let's go down this list in regard to what has been going on with D-Venom since this hiatus. Now, the last time that I checked, the last piece of major content that I uploaded for you guys centered around the death of Sunshine and Little One, my two parakeets that passed away some weeks ago, and maybe close to a month ago. And, I told you guys in that recording that I held up pretty well. I allowed myself to feel certain energies and, I cried about it and whatever else. And I released those energies. And by me doing that, I didn't relapse. I didn't turn to the pipe. I didn't turn to scallywags or anything. I made it through. I was going to bury my feathered friends in the backyard here. This apartment comes with a medium to small. Well, let me rephrase this. Particular apartment comes with a small to medium-sized backyard, but due to the toxicity of this environment, my landlord, the energies upstairs, just the scallywags I brought here, the methamphetamine I smoked in this apartment, some of everything else, I refrained from burying my birds here, and I pretty much decided to bury them across the street at the park. And I refrained from burying them on the side where the dogs are active, because it's a dog park. I buried them pretty much in the field that is a soccer field / baseball field. And I buried them next to a specific pole. So I know every time I visit this area, I know exactly where they are. And in a symbolic way, I wanted them buried there because, a lot of families and children and stuff like that, they play soccer and baseball there. So in my head, while the kids are playing and being free or whatever, my birds are, flying right along with them, being free and happy. And, they were behind the cage when I purchased them or got them. They were behind the cage with me and, until they died. And that's freedom to me, to bury them next to that pole in that big ass soccer / baseball field where they could fly around and be happy. And surprisingly, when I got off work yesterday, I'm on my way home and something told me to pull into the park just to see what was happening. And I pulled into the side where, my birds are buried on. And as I'm slowly driving down the street, my attention prompted me to look to the left of me, and that's the field where the birds are buried. And I see a bunch of people, playing soccer, and I see a bunch of people by the pole that my birds are buried to, and, they're running and laughing and just having a good time. And I picture my birds flying, freely with the children and adults, that are also having fun within that particular field. And I sat there, I parked across the street from the field, and I just sat there for a while, and I recorded something for my social media platforms. And I just enjoyed the sight of, seeing people enjoying themselves in the particular field that I buried my birds. Anyway, so I'm doing good in regard to that, you guys. I also created a few movements on my Facebook page. Now, I'm not a big Facebook fan like a lot of people, but I began to like their platform because I'm using it for the better. I'm not on there doing goofy shit. I'm actually doing, I'm actually trying to create business and groups that are geared towards addiction recovery. And there are a lot of damn groups on Facebook alone that are geared towards addiction and recovery that I joined, which, pretty much prompted me to create these groups that I created. I look for support after the death of my birds on Facebook and other platforms centered around, people of addiction that have lost their pets due to death or being stolen or whatever the case may be. And it's nothing out there that, centers around helping addicts that have lost their pets, which prompted me to create a movement on Facebook in regard to addicts that have lost their pets due to death or whatever others, or whatever other circumstances. And I also created another movement in regard to, people of color that, deal with addiction, stigma, and struggle, because our addiction are different than other, nationalities. Like a lot of groups that I follow on Facebook, there are, Narcotic Anonymous in India, Narcotic Anonymous in Bangladesh, Narcotic Anonymous all over the world. So their addictions are probably a lot different than Caucasian people's addictions, or, African American people addictions, or Arabic people's addictions. So, I think that's Alexa. I'm sorry if you guys hear that in the background, but I want to cover not all aspects of addiction, because I'm pretty sure I won't be able to do that, but I want to cover as many avenues of addiction that I possibly can cover. Okay, so after, the death of my birds and things like that, I'm pretty sure a couple of other things happened, but another major thing that happened that kept me away from the platform is the fact that my back went out on me. And if you guys ever had back pain, you know that it is no joke. You don't want to play with the spinal, with the spine or the back. And I recall that I took some trash somewhere to dump it, and I set the trash down on the ground and did something. And then I went back down to pick up the trash, and on the way up, my back went the hell out, and I was in some excruciating pain. I remember coming home and I could barely walk. I was just going through it. I remember using the restroom. I had to, do the number 2, and it was so hard for me to sit down on that toilet. You know how a pregnant woman, how they, how can I say it? In order to sit down during a certain stage of pregnancy, you have to kind of arch your back a certain way in order to, get comfortable in order to sit down in general. And that's what I had to do. I had to maneuver my back a particular way in order to just sit down on the toilet, more or less the couch. And after, taking care of business on the toilet, I went to pull my pants up, and I couldn't even do that, you guys. That's how much pain I was in due to this back injury. And eventually I had to get off the toilet altogether. I had to, put myself on my knees and maneuver my pants, over my kneecaps and whatever else, until the point where I was, pulled them over my buttocks, and I had to hold on to the edge of the sink and, lift myself. I mean, it was much. Okay. I went through it. And, even my mom was telling me it's inflammation, and come to find out, I was going through, some inflammation. My body was irritated, in some form or way. And, since then, even, you guys know that I stopped eating meat. I told you guys I stopped eating meat. My diet has changed tremendously. So I've been looking into, different foods and things of that particular nature that fight against inflammation. My friend and I, my friend was fermenting ginger way before I, started fermenting. But ginger is really, really good at fighting inflammation. And so is turmeric, garlic, and a lot of other different, natural foods. And I need to make this ginger bug, which is the flavoring to, the ginger ale or whatever I create from the fermentation of the ginger. But anyway, yes, I'm fermenting ginger and stuff like that to, help my body. Let me see what else has been going on. Oh, I still am working, you guys. I still work at One Step Beyond. You guys don't know which campus because I haven't told you, but I still work at one of the campuses here in the Arizona area. If you guys are unfamiliar with my job centers around helping individuals that have intellectual challenges and or special needs. And I've been at the company now for probably going on a good month, if I'm not mistaken. And all is well, you guys. The members are starting to get used to me. I'm getting used to the members. And the working at this particular company has changed me for the better. These individuals that I work for that have special needs and, intellectual challenges, they're happy on a 90% basis. They're human, so they do have their emotions where they get sad or get angry. But for the majority part, they are the most happiest people in the world. They speak their minds. They're not embarrassed to dance, sing, or do any of that. I drive them home, and I may drive them to certain activities. And, I'm building good relationships with these people. And let me tell y'all something. I don't mean to call them motherfuckers, but these members come from money. And not that money has anything to do with it, but the organization that I work for is nonprofit, so they rely on donations and stuff like that. These members, oh my God, when I take them home, it influences me to do better and hustle for what I want. And houses built into the mountains type money. And oh my God, but I'm still working at, this particular job. I went to a job fair. I don't know the date of this particular fair, but it was a couple of days ago, held in Mesa, Arizona. And that particular job fair is called the Second Chance event. And I learned at the job fair that it centers around helping individuals that pretty much have been released from prison and or jail rehabilitate themselves, get jobs, and, earn money just like, the rest of us. And I think that it is a great thing to do because it somewhat ends the cycle of people that have been released from the system. When they can't get jobs, they pretty much go out and steal, rob, and do whatever else to make ends meet. And by this particular event, giving them a second chance to rehabilitate themselves and show the world that, they can work and be productive citizens, I think that is great. They were hiring for several different things, including peer support specialists. And I figured, since I'm no longer, going to Recovia, we'll talk, you guys. I will take the initiative to get up off my butt and go to this job fair and take my certificate with me, showing that I have my peer support certificate and my other credentials. And I went to the job fair. It was a bunch of different stations, that were looking for people to hire for certain roles. And I ended up making it to the station that were looking for peer support specialists. Community Bridges, Inc. is the organization looking for peer support specialists. I only had one copy of my resume and I gave it to the individual, not thinking I needed for future, references and, things of that nature. So, he gave it back to me and ended up giving me a business card and told me to email my resume to that particular email address. It's not that I want to end my relationship with One Step Beyond Inc. I love working there and I love working with the members. Like any job, there are some things behind the scenes that, could, improve. But I have to fulfill my spiritual contract in regard to helping those addicts that need my help. And, me going to this particular job fair, gets one foot in the door and one foot out the door. So I emailed my resume to this particular individual and I haven't heard back yet. I do have to, give it some time and be patient, but, hopefully they will reach out to me and, I will start the training in regard to being a peer support specialist. It's not just about me living the life of an addict. It's about going through training and whatever else to deal with, individuals that need peer support help. And I'm willing to go through the training, no different than how I was willing to go through the training with One Step Beyond. I have to reach those addicts out there. And if I have to go through the necessary training in order to make that happen, so be it. Anyway, let's see here. I'm still going to 12-step meetings, you guys. I have not ended my relationship with 12-step. In fact, I found a Sunday Narcotic Anonymous meeting held here in the Arizona area. I have a lot of hidden gems that I need to upload for you guys, and I need to upload my 90-day sobriety coin. Yes, you guys, I am 90 plus days clean now, and I also earned my certificate from Recovia's 18-week intensive care program. Oh my God. Yes, you guys, I am making, I'm surpassing milestones. Anyway, I do believe that you guys know that I made 60 days clean. June 20th, 2025 is when I made that particular milestone. I picked up my 60-day sobriety coin, which I need to upload on this particular platform as encouragement for those addicts out there that need encouragement. I earned that from my original 12-step program that I attend, like I said, June 21st. And let's see here. June 25th is around the time that the birds passed away. Let's see. July 13th, I made 90 days clean, and I picked up a coin from the new Narcotic Anonymous group that, I started attending. And a couple of days or so after that, I went to my original 12-step group in order to obtain another 90-day coin. But unfortunately, they didn't have any, and they gave me a paper that says, 90 days, I owe you. And I was, pissed off. I got in my feelings about it. I was 3D conscious. And, after I leveled up to 5D conscious, I realized that is a damn good thing that they did not have any 90-day coins at that particular time. That meant a hell of a lot of people made that 90-day milestone, and, they're clean. So I should be happy about that. Anyway, I eventually got a 90-day coin from my primary 12-step, and, I was happy. Anyway, today I am 103 days clean from methamphetamine and scallywags. I have not had sex with anybody in 103 days. I will admit, you guys, I test the waters in regard to masturbation. I'm not going to lie. I started off, doing the damn thing, and I felt some type of way about myself as I was in the process of masturbating. And it's powerful that I've come this far, 103 days being clean from methamphetamine, 103 days being clean from porn and any other type of influential, I can't think of the word. It starts with the P. I can't think of it. But, I've been clean from all of that. And even though the scallywags are tempting, I have been clean from scallywags 103 damn days. That is power. And if I can keep on going without masturbation or anything like that, do you know how powerful I would be? Semen retention is everything to a man and a woman, but I think it benefits men more than it benefits women. To withhold from sex and, retain your semen and utilize it for your own good, that's a damn good thing. So I'm very proud of myself that I made 60 days clean. I made 90 days clean. And the fact that I graduated from Recovia's 18-week intensive care program. Let's talk about it, you guys. The 16th of this month, I graduated from Recovia's 18-week intensive care program. As you guys know, I went into the care of Recovia for recovery. Where's that piece? Damn, I don't have that piece of paper. I called them because I wanted to know when I first started their program. I called them, I believe it was June or July 1st for the intake, if I'm not mistaken. July or June 6th, I believe it was June 6th, I ended up starting the program. And I went to the program faithfully, and I did all the necessary steps to the program faithfully. Well, I can't say faithfully. There are some modules that I need to complete, and I'm going to do that. But I did what was necessary in order to keep me in that recovery phase and keep me from relapsing. I gave quite a bit of my life to Recovia. I went 2 days out of the week for 4 hours a fucking day. That's a lot of my damn time. And eventually I started to get bored with the program because, like, for instance, when I went to go visit the medical team, they would ask me a series of questions like, are you depressed? No. Do you have anxiety? No. Do you feel like hurting yourself? No. And the first day that I started the program until my graduation, those answers would always remain the same. And I noticed that my sessions with medical became shorter because they really had nothing to talk to me about because I was doing well with the program. If anything, Recovia should be happy that people have enough strength to move on with their lives after the 18-week active care program. They tried to be very influential in regard to me going into supportive care that same day of graduation. And I felt like it was a bit too fast. I felt like I was a bit rushed. And, I remember the words, if you want to get into supportive care, we can get you going right now, a paraphrasing. And, I'm like, hold up. I understand that Recovia is here for the benefit of individuals that need help with substance abuse, mental health issues, and mobility issues. And, there's science behind Recovia that back up their claims and whatever else. And it's a more modern day approach to, recovery and therapy and stuff like that. But it's a business. And at the end of the day, Recovia wants your money. And, they want my insurance money. And, I get it. Like with medical, are you depressed? I'm pretty sure they would love for me to say yes. I remember my, I think blood pressure was off a little bit and they wanted to, test me all over again. I get it. I get the program now that I have, attended, for 18 weeks or so. The program is a good program, but, I also get that behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure they have been trained to influence individuals to get into that next step, or next phase, which if I were to have agreed to move on with Recovia, I would be entering into their supportive care phase. And that would be 2 days out of the week, 2 hours a day instead of 4 hours a day. And it would break down to the point where I would only go once a week for about an hour a day. And, it's broken up over a year's time. So I would have to give Recovia another year of, I would have to give them a year of my time. And am I willing to do that? No, I'm not, because I have other plans and preparations for my life. And, like a good friend and I were talking, not that I need a validation from this friend in order to make my final decision regarding Recovia, but it did seal the deal in regard to what I want to do moving forward. There are other people in this world that could benefit from the program like I have, that could utilize those seats that I used to utilize. And, not talking about the people that I was in group with while attending Recovia, but a lot of those people were in their lowest of vibrations. And, they felt a particular way about themselves, which made me withhold in regard to how I'm feeling. I'm highly vibrational, optimistic, enjoying life. My damn tire blew out on me on the way to work one morning. And, I didn't even let that get me down. I made it through and I made it to work to take care of those individuals. And, things are uplifting for me. And I don't want the energies of, those low vibration people to rub off on me. And I hate to seem like I'm better than, because I'm never that. But, Recovia could only do so much for me. And now I have taken their tools and I have, incorporated them into my life, and I'm running with it. I planted my feet on the edge of that damn nest. I spread my wings. I started flapping my wings and I jumped off, and I'm doing great. I do understand that eventually I'm going to have to enter into some form of supportive care in order to continue placing those protective barriers in front of me so that I don't relapse. I understand that. A couple of days ago, without my knowledge, I had an appointment with my primary psychiatrist, who is a part of my primary doctor's organization. That gave me the opportunity to ask my primary psychiatrist if that organization offers supportive care. Come to find out, they do offer supportive care. And I also told my primary psychiatrist that I'm going to regroup with my primary therapist. This is the individual that I was dealing with way before Recovia came into the picture. I have an appointment with my primary therapist next month on the 13th. I'm not sure if I need to talk to them before I enter into their supportive care, or if I can enter into it beforehand or not. Either way, I have a window, in between now and the 13th. So I still need to continue going to 12-step meetings, which, quite frankly, I have a 12-step coming up. I may make it to it and I may not, because I'm doing this episode for you guys, but I still need to place protective barriers in front of me, because relapse is right around the corner. You're waiting for me to, fall. But anyway, yes, I did it, you guys. My addicts out there, I did it. And I feel like I want to cry right now, because I want you guys to surpass my accomplishments. 60 days clean, 90 days clean, today 103 days clean from sex, porn, drugs, and all of that. I am doing great for myself. Okay, speak about not eating meat. Now, I told you guys that I stopped eating meat for various reasons, but it has to do with spirituality. My addiction, I have to thank. Even though it ruined my life to a degree, I have to thank Satan and my addiction, because it has opened my eyes up to a lot of spiritual awakenings. And those awakenings have taught me who I really am. Before my addiction, I did not know who I was, because I had narcissists around me telling me who I was and, stealing my identity from me. I had friends in my life that I thought were my friends that, would tell me about myself, and I would believe it, because, I just did not know myself. And, I was insecure about who D Venom is or was, or whatever the case may be. And especially during my addiction, I lost so much of me. Satan stripped me from who I truly am. And I lost me along the way. I lost faith. I lost a lot of different things. Watching certain Chosen One videos, courtesy of YouTube, I think those words came from one of those videos in regard to not allowing my addiction to define me, but allowing my addiction to refine me. And that's what I'm doing. I'm allowing my addiction to refine me. And by the time I'm finished being refined, I'm going to be a work of art, courtesy of the spiritual realm. But, yes, you guys, I stopped eating meat for various different reasons. For one, it was clogging and or fogging up my spiritual channels. I sit in silence a lot, and a lot of chosen ones sit in silence, because this is what God does with his chosen ones. He separates us from worldly things or whatever, so that we can sit in silence, hear his messages, hear the angels, hear the ancestors, hear the universe, whatever else, hear our own selves, regroup and rejuvenate, get rest, whatever else the case may be. We're in spiritual battle. So, he puts us in silence for a lot of different reasons. But anyway, during those moments of sitting in silence and watching, videos on YouTube, courtesy of being chosen, and having the letter M on both palms and the crescent moon on my thumbnails and, on my palms or whatever. It basically, those Chosen One videos led me to the crescent moon on my palm and the letter M on my palm videos, which led me to videos that basically stated what chosen ones and people that have the letter M and the crescent moon on their palm and thumbnail should be eating. And I took those videos to heart. Eating meat, I just felt some particular way. And I learned that a lot of tortured animals release certain chemicals and or hormones into that meat before they are slaughtered and killed, which we eat in return, and it gets into our system. And no wonder I was feeling fatigue and sluggish and whatever, type of way about myself, because I was consuming meat from animals that have been tortured and or harmed. And I remember being at Recovia, and I'm not going to say too much, but I'm someone of, someone of a specific background was telling me that their way of slaughtering animals is a lot better, because it's quick. The animal doesn't, feel anything, and they really don't have a chance of releasing those particular hormones and chemicals into the meat, which, will get into us, after we consume it. And I'm looking at this person like, okay, you telling me this is going to make me go out into a store and buy a gang of meat and enjoy every last damn bite of it. What you're telling me is making me not eat meat even more. I don't care if your way or your people's way of slaughtering animals is no way of slaughtering animals is better. I just don't want any form of meat in my body like that. And if I do resort to meat, it would probably be fish. And I haven't even eaten fish since I stopped eating meat. It's been fruits, it's been veggies. And when I tell you guys, when I cut into some fruit and vegetables and when I eat it, I'm so thankful and grateful at the fact that the universe, source, the ancestors, and the spirit realm produced this for us. Natural foods, natural herbs, natural spices, and they're very beneficial for us. And I learned through Recovia that exercising releases certain, I think, hormones into the body. And I learned that our bodies are our own medicine cabinets. By exercising alone, we produce so many different beneficial chemicals and hormones. Our bodies pretty much rejuvenate themselves. So it's I'm just, oh my gosh, so many beautiful things have been given to me during the hiatus away from my platforms, and I'm thankful that these blessings have been coming my way. Anyway, let's get back into this list. Okay. Speak about medicine change. Okay, let's talk about it. I am not sure if I told you guys that during my training with One Step Beyond Inc., the corporation that I'm hired with now, we had a tour of all of the campuses here in the Arizona area. And I remember I was fine, during the course of training. It was when we got ready to, get into the vans to tour the campuses is when I started to feel ill. I was so ill to the point where people were asking me, am I okay? And I was embarrassed. I was going through withdrawal. I was going through it because I was still taking the naltrexone, the medication that is that blocks the cravings of opioid abuse and methamphetamine abuse. And I was profusely sweating. My stomach was rumbling and going through it. I had to lean my head to one side or the other in order to get some relief. I had to close my eyes because the scenic view and the lights and all of that type of stuff in the sun was irritating me even more. I went through it. And I remember one of the campuses that we visited, I got a bit of relief from one of the members. And I will tell you guys what happened. This particular member was told to introduce themselves to us. And they got to me last. They shook the hands of all the people that went to, tour each campus. And they got to me. They ended up putting their head on my chest and laid it there for a minute. And then they eventually shook my hand. It nearly brought tears to my eyes because remember, these individuals are intellectually challenged or whatever else, but they are so godly chosen that this individual knew exactly what to do. I'm sorry, you guys, if I get a little choked up. This particular member knew exactly what to do to make me feel better. And they laid their head pretty much in the area that was irritated and kept it there. And they transferred energy to me to make me feel better. Yeah. Anyway, after, we toured the campuses, we were on our way back to, the campus where we were training at. And thank God I did not get sick at that particular point. And all I ate was some fruit and stuff that particular morning. I don't know if I took my medication or not on a somewhat empty stomach, which could have resulted in, in me not feeling well, excuse me. But anyway, I recall taking my now coworker home, and I tried to hold off until they got out of the car, but I couldn't. I ended up throwing up all of the fruit and stuff that I ate, prior to us going on tour to the different campuses. And I was so embarrassed. The fact that I was going through withdrawal, the fact that, I got sick, due to the naltrexone. I know that naltrexone had a lot to do with it. And I was over it. I was sweating. I mean, my clothes was soaked and wet because I was sweating that much, because of that medication. Anyway, I ended up, stopping the naltrexone. I quit cold turkey. I know that I was supposed to have waited until my, psychiatrist gave me further instructions, but I said to hell with it. My psychiatrist was on vacation at that time. I did not want that medication in my system at all. And I stopped taking it. Now, I'm not saying to my addicts out there or my people that abuse opioids or whatever, not to take this medication. From reviews that I've seen, naltrexone does save lives, but it did not agree with my body, and I have to listen to my body. If my body is throwing this stuff up, if it's profusely sweating and trying to get it out in all various different ways, it does not belong in my system, and that's what made me quit the medication. So in the place of the naltrexone, I ended up taking Wellbutrin. What is the proper name for it? Ibuprofen. Hold on one second. Let me dig in my backpack real quick. Ibuprofen. Hold on one second. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. 1 second, you guys. I just have to dig in my backpack. Bupropion, that's the correct name for it. Bupropion, which is Wellbutrin. I took Wellbutrin back in my Vegas days of abusing methamphetamine, and I did not give it a chance to, was it in Vegas or was it out here? It could have been out here when I started Wellbutrin, and to me, it didn't work. And obviously I didn't give it a chance to become beneficial to my life. And I ended up stopped taking it. But Wellbutrin is it's a motherfucker of a drug. It helps with cravings of methamphetamine or whatever. It helps with anxiety. It helps with my ADHD. It helps with the methamphetamine aspect. It does a lot. So in order to elude taking other medications that target those particular ailments, I may as well take this Wellbutrin that targets, all these ailments in one pill and let it be one. And it does not give me, the side effects that the naltrexone does. So I'm happy with the Wellbutrin. I take it, I'm supposed to take it every morning, every day. I think it's 150 milligram. And when I was dealing with Recovia, because I was having sleep issues due to, I was still in my recovery phase at that point in time, but I was still going through relapse and stuff like that due to addiction. So it was hard for me to get some sleep. So they prescribed me hydroxyzine. That's the medication that I was taking years ago back in my Vegas days, and I never had a problem with hydroxyzine. I loved hydroxyzine so much to the point I know how to spell that shit. And anyway, they prescribed it to me again, and I use it accordingly for sleep. So you guys, let's move on. So I did have a medicine change or whatever the case may be, and like I told you guys, if you need to use naltrexone for the cravings of opioid or methamphetamine cravings, go for it, because your body may not be like mine. You may be able to tolerate it, but just know that naltrexone does cause constipation. I was not able to have a regular bowel movement, which a close friend, maybe a cousin of mine, passed away due to the fact that they could not have a bowel movement, and it all built up in them and caused, bacterial issues and infections and whatever else. So that scares me. And that's another reason why I, quit taking the naltrexone on. And I promise you, about a couple of days after ending that, my relationship with that medication, I was having all type of regular bowel movements. So that's another thing, that I wanted to warn you guys about. Also, anamoxetine. I stopped taking that medication as well. I think that medication was for my, ADHD. Anamoxetine. Either way, it caused stomach issues and constipation as well. So the Wellbutrin or bupropion, I hope I said that right. It takes care of all of the medications that I pretty much, ended my relationship with. Okay, now let's see here. Speak about social media groups. I talked to you guys about that earlier in regard to creating certain movements on my other platforms like Black Voices of Addiction, Struggle, and Stigma. As I told you guys, our relationship with addiction may be a lot different from other nationalities. Supporting addicts that have lost their pets due to death. That's another movement that I created on Facebook. And let's see here. Speak about my conversation with Miss Mo. Okay, now this is another reason why I don't have time to play around here on Podbean. Now, Miss Mo, she's a businesswoman, and I know that I'm going to have to level up, messing around with her. But we have a, kind of a business partnership, and we had a nice conversation in regard to our niche. And I have been so 3D conscious in regard to individuals that have reached out to me in regard to my other platforms like YouTube, Instagram. I haven't gotten any offers in regard to monetization regarding Facebook, but I had an expert of YouTube and I had an expert of Instagram reach out to me in regard to monetizing my content. The expert of YouTube wants to SEO monetize my content. The person from Instagram, I guess they just want to, regular monetize it. I don't know. I'm not, an expert at monetization, but my reply or response back to the expert of YouTube was so anal. And when I told Ms. Mo about this, Ms. Mo replied back by saying, "Oh, you're on your way." And I thought about that and I'm just like, there's a blessing in all of this, and I'm fucking it all up by being so less than smart. I think that I have it in the bag and I can do this all by myself. I can do this the God way. God did not use money in order to get his message out there and influence people to be a part of his cause or whatever. I am not him. I have so much influence, but in order to do it his way, I would literally have to be him, and no one can be him. Anyway, I am not being a part of my cause. If I really want to save those addicts out there that are suffering from, addiction, I have to do what's necessary in order to reach the eyes and ears that need to see and or hear my content the most. And I asked the person via email, the expert of YouTube, is this a pro bono offer or do I have to come off money? And they replied back that they don't do anything for free. And, this lets us know that people be paying for monetization and followers and things of that particular nature. I created a upload for Instagram in regard to that particular email, and that, even though I was less than smart to do that or whatever, I, was pre-warning people that, the world is half of the world is fake. People are paying for 14 million followers, 12 million followers. They're paying for that. I can understand individuals paying to have their platforms professionally monetized and how can I say it? Monitored by because they have families and they can't get to it, or they have a lucrative message that they're getting out there and they're paying to support that cause and that message. I can see that happening, but people that are feeling a particular way about themselves, low self-esteem, depression, whatever the case may be, they're in their lowest of vibrations, and they rely on the validation of others, social media, comments, likes, and whatever else the case may be. They rely on that to make them feel important. Those are the people that I was mainly addressing when I uploaded, those few uploads in regard to the expert of YouTube reaching out to me. And then I leveled up to 5D consciousness, and I'm like, you know what, bitch, you are going to end a lot of good partnerships because you think that you have it in the bag. I've been receiving angelic numbers in regard to collaborations and collaborating. Collaborations are good if you are collaborating. Collaborations are good if you are collaborating with the right people. And, these people, because they said it via YouTube, see the value in my platforms, and they also see the value in the message that I'm trying to get out there in the world. I'm putting a lot of effort into my platforms, and they're not being monetized correctly. Now, I have been greatly influenced by reading the big book. The big book centers around Alcoholics Anonymous, which covers all addiction. Anyway, I came across a part in the big book that definitely gives me the courage to start funding my cause and being more a part of addiction, relapse, and recovery. And I'm going to read that little bit to you guys. It says here, Alcoholics Anonymous has steadily grown in readership. By the time the second edition appeared in 1955, membership had reached over 150,000 people, and the big book AA members' fund title for their basic text had reached a distribution of more than 300,000. At the time of the third edition in March 1976, the worldwide membership of AA was estimated at 1 million or more. Copies of Alcoholics Anonymous in circulation exceeded 1,450,000. Let me tell y'all something. The book exceeded 1,450,000. By reading this book, the creators and writers of the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, had to fund their cause in order to get that book to exceed 1,450,000 copies. They had to. They either, I don't care if it was contributions, what is it called? Oh my God. Damn, I can't think of the word. A sponsorship. I don't care what it was. It still leads to some form of funding, sponsorship, whatever the case may be. Money was put into the distribution and copying and whatever of this book. And it made me think even more, bitch, you're not about your cause, because anybody that wants to get their message, no different than me merging off into the t-shirt company. I still, I'm working on merchandise for you guys, and I would have to put money into that cause in order to get that message put on those shirts, in order to get those shirts in y'all hands and whatever else the case may be, in order for the, for the printing of the shirts. I'm either way, I'm going to have to fund that particular cause if I want to get it out there. No different than here on Podbean. I am funding my platform for $14 a month to get the message of addiction and recovery out there. I'm funding these platforms. I'm not funding Instagram and or YouTube yet, but I see the blessing in it all. These people already see the blessing in my platform. They're just willing to help me, get it out there even more. And I'm shutting it down by being stupid or less than smart, because I hate to use the word stupid. Now I am going to take the time to write the person back at, from Instagram and YouTube. I'm mainly going to apologize to the person from YouTube because I responded back to them very anal. I haven't responded back to the person from Instagram yet, but I'm going to apologize for my actions. I'm going to tell them that I'm grateful that they see the value in my, content and my platform and my message, and I'm willing to work with them moving forward. I need to find out how much is this going to cost in order to SEO monetize my content and go from there. And if they can promise to reach a array of people that need to hear my message or whatever, then, so be it. I'm going to partnership with these individuals. They know the secrets in order to get me seen and heard more than what I do. And if I allow them to do their job, then I can come up. So, it's just a matter of time. And then, I will, allow them to do their thing, and we'll see what will happen in regard to addiction and recovery. Now, speaking with Ms. Mo, we have addiction and recovery is a huge movement. You have Cocaine Anonymous, Sex Anonymous. You have, I think, Porn Anonymous. You have Narcotic Anonymous. They're all over the world. Like I told you, Facebook alone shows the fact that, Narcotic Anonymous, or the addiction movement is a huge movement. Myself and Ms. Mo, we want to definitely be a part of this movement and come up. We don't have time for games, and we've been, we brainstormed yesterday in regard to what people of addiction relapse could use. And boy, we came up with some damn good ideas. There's so much that I've been working on behind the scenes, you guys. It is unbelievable. And having a partner like Miss Mo that is serious about our niche in regard to addiction, relapse, and recovery, or real talk recovery. We don't have time for games, and this is why I'm taking charge of my platform here on Podbean. And people don't like that too much. People are used to coming on my platform and just talking and doing this and doing that and kind of taking control. And I'm not allowing that no more. If you're not a part of the niche, there's really no need to be on my live streams, because I'm going to be talking about addiction and recovery, and a lot of people aren't going to want to talk about that. Anyway, oh my God, you guys. Okay, there was a show called R&B Divas back in the days with Shantae Moore, Michelle A, Kelly Price, Claudette Cortez from the group City High, maybe one more, Dawn Robinson from the group En Vogue. Anyway, I absolutely love that show. Unfortunately, it doesn't air anymore. I think it was courtesy of VH1. Anyway, episode 3 of R&B Divas, the girls went to Las Vegas to take care of some business on behalf of Kelly Price. And during their trip to Las Vegas, Shantae Moore came up with a brilliant idea for the girls to go to a wedding chapel to marry themselves. Shantae Moore was going through some stuff with her ex-husband, Kenny Lattimore, and I think their son that they had together was in the middle of a custody battle. And, Shantae Moore, during all of that, wrote a book called Would I Marry Me? And I can't really say what the book centers around, but I guess it just asks various different questions in regard to would one marry themselves, which, pretty much prompted her, let me rephrase, which pretty much generated the idea for her and the girls to go to the wedding chapel called, the Chapel of Flowers, located on 1717 Las Vegas Boulevard, angelic number 1717. Baby, I did not forget any of that. Located at 1717 Las Vegas Boulevard, bitch. I forgot the phone number, but that's where the girls went, the Chapel of Flowers, to marry themselves. If you guys want to watch that episode, look for it on YouTube. I don't know the uploader's name that uploaded all of the episodes, but look for episode. I suggest suggest watching all of the episodes, but mainly look for episode 3. I am going to do this, you guys. I owe it to myself to marry me before I give myself to anyone else. And I'm doing it for symbolic reasons. I'm also going to I follow Shantae Moore on Facebook and Instagram, and I received something from Shantae in regard to being one of her number one fans. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people, got that as well, but I'm one of her number one active fans on Facebook. Anyway, I'm going to thank Shantae Moore for doing this because it definitely encourages me to marry myself, because I've lost so much of me before my addiction, and I damn sure lost a lot of me during my addiction. Satan has stripped a lot of us from who we really are. And now that I am in my recovery phase and I no longer abuse his drug, I know that I am spirit wrapped in matter, living a earthly experience. These letter M's that are carved into my palms, and this crescent moon that forms when I put my palms together, and these damn crescent moons that I have on my thumbnails, I come from spiritual and ancestral lineage. And, that's just the bottom line. I know where I come from now. And when I took those first couple of bumps, standing in front of the Las Vegas lounge, that's where I first did methamphetamine with the damn scallywag that, I dealt with at that time. He had the bag of methamphetamine. He took his keys, dug it in there, and he gave me bump after bump. He knew exactly what he was doing. And, that's when I unleashed, that's when I opened up Pandora's box, and those demons, unleashed themselves, right along with Satan. And I said I would never go back to Vegas, but me going back to Vegas to fight Satan head on and fight those demons head on and marry myself at the damn Chapel of Flowers, and showing those demons and showing Satan that I love myself so damn much, to the point I came back to the place where my addiction began, and I'm showing you how much I love myself. Love is one of the highest vibrations of them all. And by me going back to Las Vegas, standing in front of that altar and giving myself vows and putting a ring on my finger and showing those demons, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm getting choked up, and showing those demons and showing Satan that I love me will drive them right back into Pandora's box, because Satan and those demons don't want any of us to be happy. They don't want any of us to be happy. And by me doing this, I will be showing him that I'm powerful. You did not take anything from me. If anything, you given to me. And I am putting you back in Pandora's box. It's symbolic that I go back to Vegas and fight Satan head on, and I am willing to marry myself to do this. And I'm reaching out to Shantae Moore, and I'm just thanking her for doing this. And I don't suggest I suggest anyone do this. You don't have to be an addict to marry yourself, but I think that it's important that people give themselves vows before they give vows to another individual. You are your most, I can't get it out right. You are your most important person here on this damn earth. And, you have to look out for you. And I'm to the point where, life is beautiful. Things are happening. I still have, those interviews on the other platform that are still reaching out to me. I still have magazines that are still waiting for me to get in contact with them in regard to an interview. I still have all of these blessings underneath my feet. And this is all courtesy of, due to recovery. But anyway, let me see what else I wanted to speak to you guys about. Okay. Speak about moving. All right, you guys, we are getting ready to relocate. As I told you guys, the energies around here, they're pretty low vibrational. And the funny thing is, the universe has structured my life, because I don't know if I told you guys, I'm learning how to speak the universe's language. She doesn't speak Japanese, Vietnamese, Russian. She don't speak, Hindu. She don't speak any of that. that she speaks her language, which is specific to her. And now that I'm learning to speak her language, and now that I'm learning to write down things on a piece of paper and be specific in regard to what I want from the universe, I'm on my way. And I'm letting her know exactly what I want moving forward. And the fact that the landlord has showed me who he is on several of occasions, and I failed to ignore it. I'm not doing that anymore at all in my life. When a person tells me something, I'm going to believe it. Or when a person shows me their true colors, I have no choice but to believe it. And, even the neighbor next door, they since moved out, but it was when the sewers got backed up around here, and there was a bunch of feces flying, all over the place by the mailbox area. I took pictures of it, video, and all that. Anyway, I came home, and I seen a landlord out there. He addressed me. I'm going to take care of this, blah, blah, blah. It's always promises after promises after promises, and nothing gets done. Mind you guys, I still have a screen door, a old screen door sitting in my living room that has been in the living room for over a year and some change. The screen door got replaced, but it was put in wrong. And anyway, the door doesn't open or close. It's ajar. And, that was supposed to be replaced. I mean, the landlord, I noticed along the way that the landlord is self-centered. It's about them. It's about them looking good for the masses and, whatever else. And long story short, I'm just over it. I'm over the energies upstairs, and thank God they haven't been home for about a good week now. I'm not sure where they are and don't give a damn. The universe pretty much planned this. She got them out of my way while I take care of other things. I don't need people above me stumping and shit like that when I'm trying to, pack and move and whatever else. So, the universe has been doing me some huge favors along the way. But anyway, yes, we are getting ready to move. I would say a couple of good blocks down the street, more towards the mountains. Remember, I told the universe I'm going to be closer to her little by little, and she's making that happen. So we will be closer to the mountains. I won't have a backyard. Remember, I was going to convert this backyard into my podcasting playground, but due to changes, and changes are good. I'm embracing changes at all costs. And I'm allowing the universe to take charge. I threw my hands up with my addiction. Why not throw my hands up with my life? The universe knows exactly what to do. Like for instance, sitting in 12-step group, I would hear people that have relapsed, or they tell their stories about how they surrendered their addictions to 12-step and blah, blah, blah. And that's their prerogative. But I knew to surrender my addiction to the spirit realm, because the spirit realm has all of the answers above man. And then after I surrendered my battle to the spirit realm is when they started opening the doors to 12-step, Recovia, other organizations similar to that. But, I'm not surrendering my battle. I just knew. I knew what to do for me, and I surrendered my battle to the spirit realm. But anyway, yes, my apartment now, the new apartment that we will be moving into, it comes with a washer and dryer. If I wouldn't have made the mistake on the notice to vacate, what I did was, I got around to it because I was so busy and tired from work and whatever else. I did not get around to the notice to vacate until around the 8th of this month. And it all worked out in my favor, because had I, did it the correct way, I wouldn't have been financially stable in order to move out. It would have been a crunch for me. So the fact that I made that mistake, and the fact that the landlord wanted to be anal and won't let me out of the lease until the end of August, works out in my favor. Anyway, I got the paperwork. I paid for the admin fee for the new place, the $50 application fee. I did my part of the paperwork from housing. All that's taken care of. So anyway, the little bit of a break that I get from now until the end of August, I will be able to save up, a couple of good checks, and, I will have some comfortability moving forward. So that mistake all works out in my favor, you guys. So this is what I mean by, the universe taking charge and making things happen, behind the scenes. Let me see, speak about Second Chance, I talked about that. I talked about fermenting ginger, social media, YouTube. I talked about that as well. I think I'm all caught up with you guys. Yes, I am. Thank you, Jesus, because I really wanted to take, I really wanted to take my time and address you guys and let you all know that, the hiatus was necessary for me to get things done. So I need to email the experts of YouTube, Instagram, let them know that I'm interested in their partnership. I need to, upload on my social media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram. I also need to go live here on Podbean. There's a lot of things that I need to pack. There's just so much that I have to do that I'm, trying to give equal amounts of attention to. But anyway, you guys, I am back. I never did go anywhere. I just had to, take care of, a business. I want addiction relapse and recovery, or addiction recovery, to be a major thing. And by me having a partnership with Miss Mo and these future partnerships that I'm building with, other organizations and other people, places and things, addiction and recovery is going to be something fantastic in the future. And those that are riding out with me, hey, thank you guys very much. It's going to be a major thing. Those that decided to fall off the bandwagon, thank you very much, because, you make room for improvement. So anyway, I'm going to end this. I am back, you guys. I miss you all so much. Thank you guys for still, hanging in there. Those of you that, haven't gone anywhere. And, thank you guys for the hearts and having me at a level 2 and whatever else. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be coming with facts and things like that centered around addiction, relapse and recovery. And, it's going to be a major thing, you guys. All right. Until my next upload, you guys be good, happy, sober living, and namaste.